You definitely can't be sitting on a couch meditating about certain goals in life and then expect certain things to come if you're not actively putting yourself out there, right? But at the same time, how are you working with yourself? Are you hustling and doing it from a place of, oh my God, I have to do this. Oh my God, if I don't do this by then, it's going to be catastrophe. And you're constantly in a state of anxiety, constantly in a state of hurry and rush and impatience. And you're just beating yourself up because things are not happening fast enough. This constant hustle from a women's perspective is only here because of a lack of worthiness of love. Soft girl era to me is about less hustle, more connection to your intuition, more connection to your emotions. How can I be more in tune, more in flow with life instead of trying to force something onto life? Alrighty, friends, welcome to another episode. Welcome to Around Just a Sauce podcast. Welcome to my channel. We're talking about soft girl era and my move to LA. Imagine you're in the most shittiest Airbnb. That was like me landing in LA. I got there and it was late at night and the host didn't really want to come pick me up outside or show me like where this apartment was going to be. And I was just like, okay. And you know, when you're going to a new place, you just kind of take things as they are. You're just like, oh, okay, you don't want to come pick me up in this huge apartment complex that I don't really know. There's like 1,000 apartments and there's like a pool, there's a gym. I'm in a new city. I don't know where I'm going. Like, come and help a girl out. Right? I walk into this Airbnb and like literally the dog's attacking me. And like the only thing she can say is not even like, hi, how are you? Where are you coming from? You must be so tired and jet lagged. No. What she's going on about is like, okay, so you have space for your shoes right there and you're gonna leave them right there and you can't take them into your room. You can't take any food into your room. All you can take into your room is, well, yourself and your luggage. And that was my welcome to LA. I didn't have access to the kitchen, so I couldn't really eat. All I could do was go out to eat and like come back to my room and be all alone. So what I did on one of the first nights when I got to LA was I got on freaking Hinge, I got on a freaking Tinder, and I got myself a date. And I'm not very proud of that, to be very honest, because I don't really feel like I'm the kind of person who needs to be going on a date to feel like I'm less alone. And it's not like I went on a date to feel less alone. Like, let me just not paint such a black and white picture, actually. I was very much going out there and it was just cool because I was like, oh my God, I'm in LA. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really cute guys here. And you want to go see all the places. I'm literally living a few blocks from the beach, which was very new to me. But then after, it was very much facing the reality of having to go and do a job that I was not particularly excited about. And I can admit that now because I have enough distance to it. Back then, I would have never said so because, oh my God, what is my boss going to think? What is the company going to say? What are all these people going to think of me going into a job that doesn't feel like I'm connecting deeper to my purpose? I even had people ask me, like, why are you going to this job? And you're probably asking yourself, why the fuck? Pardon my French, does any of this matter to soft girl era, connecting deeper with yourself and reinvention and purpose and being unapologetic, all of these amazing topics that are part of my podcast? Well, let me tell you, I think that when we are able to live from a place of purpose, which requires that we are in touch with our soft girl, when we live from a place of purpose, then all of the stuff that I just told you wouldn't have had to happen. When you reach your 30s, like I turned 30 during the pandemic, I was just like, okay, something has to happen in my life because I don't see myself staying in Zurich for the rest of my life. Everything I was doing just felt like fine, and I had a lot of fear that I had to work through in order to actually reach the place where I was just like, no, this actually doesn't matter to me. Once you get rid of that anxiety, you can truly discern what actually matters to you and what you thought mattered to you, but it actually matters to society. But anyway, how does this pertain to soft girl era? Soft girl era to me is about less hustle, more connection to your intuition, more connection to your emotions. How can I be more absorbing of the situation? How can I be less controlling of the situation? How can I be more in tune, more in flow with life instead of trying to force something onto life? The soft girl era trend is arising because there's like a little bit of a revolution against this constantly hustle. And this constant hustle from a women's perspective is only here because of a lack of worthiness of love if we're not going over the top, if we're not pushing to be the best performing person, the most perfect girl, whatever it is, whatever that high achieving standard you push yourself to be, that, in my opinion, is an imbalance, right? Any imbalance is an overcompensation for something. And from what I've learned about myself, it's my constant need to overachieve, to be perfect, to be, the top performer, to be the career woman who goes after all of these things, is because of a deep-rooted lack of worthiness. And the underlying belief is that if I'm not perfect, I'm not worthy of love. And so it's pushed me to go above and beyond all the freaking time. And when you do the inner work and you understand that your worth is not tied to some level of output, some level of performance, some level of perfectionism, when you learn that, you're able to tap into a space where you're like, oh, I can be more selective with how I use my energy. And I had to. I was kind of forced to go into that because come Tuesday evening, I was just so depleted from work because I was so overextending myself and I was never giving myself a break. And so it's like, okay, why? Let me go into that. Why am I constantly overextending myself? Oh, okay, I have this need to be liked by everyone to feel successful. Oh, why do I feel like I need to be successful? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I need to be perfect to be successful. Okay, why do you have to feel that you need to be perfect? Oh, well, maybe something happened in the past, or like whatever it is that comes up for you. I invite you to go into that, because really embracing that soft girl era for me is about creating more balance in your life. More balance so that you're living from a place of, oh, this actually matters to me, and I'm not just hustle, 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 achieve, 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 be perfect, be perfect, be perfect, so that I can be good enough in your point of view, right? So that I somehow am living up to your standard, some subjective standard, right? And so you're never going to meet everyone's standards. But it's like, let me take a step back. What actually matters to me? How can I be more connected to my emotions, my intuition? And I don't have to give 150% in every freaking situation that I'm in. Like, that was me literally every day at work, in every meeting. And if I didn't involve myself sometimes, and I didn't speak up or do this or that, I felt so guilty. I was like, oh my God, you're just not trying hard enough. You're not valuable enough to this team. You're not going to be seen. You're not going to be validated. You're not going to be considered a top performing athlete, if you wish, corporate athlete. And that's really problematic, because then you're literally living your life in the opinions of others. And so in order for me to even have been able to call in the LA opportunity, or even become the person who seeks to move abroad, I really had to move and work through a lot of these internal drivers that I had it was like a machine was in a car that had been built, but there was no driver. The driver was all of these external factors that were telling the car to go left or right or straight, and depending on whoever's standing here in front of you, in my case, would tell me, oh, I think you should go into sales. I'm not trying to say that I didn't have my own opinion in all these things. I did definitely have I have a very strong will and a very strong opinion, but I also have a really strong tendency to rely on men's opinions. I hate it, but a lot of the people that were voices in my career were men's opinions. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is this soft girl era, being more connected to your intuition and actually taking time to understand yourself, to understand your emotional world, and where you're picking up other people's emotions, making it your own, instead of being very, very clear about what's your emotional take on this. And for me, a big one is breaking out of this perfectionism, breaking out of this need to be everything to everyone. Like, there's this whole notion of like self love, right? There's this whole notion about, oh, self love is self discipline. And I'm like, yes, like self love is self discipline, being disciplined in how you show up for yourself. All of that is really important. But at the same time, I think self love is also self forgiveness and forgiving yourself when you mess up. The more you can forgive yourself when you mess up, that to me is like the essence of being in your soft girl era and using that softness to take yourself to the next level. That to me was like such a huge turning point in my 20s. And I would have never been able to move to LA. I would have never been able to either like get through that horrible Airbnb experience and able to be like, no, this Airbnb is shitty and it's not my fault. No, this date is shitty and I am going to get up and I'm going to leave, even though that is not something that people really like. It's going to make people feel uncomfortable. Or no, I am going to leave this corporate job because having a sales job is just not a match for me. It sucks. Did I go on to take on another sales job? Yes, I did. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, I truly believe that the more we can live from a place of self-love, which requires first that you get to know yourself. And the more you know yourself, the more you're connected to your intuition, the more you're connected to your emotions, the more you understand your emotions and you don't demonize them, right? Like that can be as simple as in meetings, write down how you're feeling. Something triggered you, write down what triggered you, write down where that trigger came from, describe it, give it a character, get to know it. When did that start arising for you? Like, why is it keep appearing in your life? It's like nuggets of wisdom that are just waiting for us. The more you go into the things that are causing you such a headache in your life, like if you're burning out, if you're hustling too much, why? Like, are you building a business? Are you like building a new life for yourself? Why is it burning you out though? Like, why do you feel depleted? Because I'm a very impatient person. Like, do you feel super rushed? Why do you feel rushed? Why do you feel like everything needs to happen faster? But I would add on top of that, if you want to reinvent your life like I did, if you want to change something because you have this urgency and this need to feel more fulfilled, more creative, which is like, these are all the reasons why I moved to LA, and you find yourself feeling reluctant to, or you constantly come up with excuses why you shouldn't, go into that. Going into my emotions, going into uncovering why I do things the way I do, why I relate to things, to the world in the way that I do, like getting to know myself has been like the biggest gift to me trying to do other things. Because the more I know myself, the more resilient I am, the more I know how I'm going to deal with situations. And the more I will allow myself to try new things because I'm like, oh, I know how to deal with that. Try to uncover why you're telling yourself no. It's a form of protection. Is it your fear of rejection? It doesn't even have to be like, is it fear your partner is going to reject you? Is it a fear that other people are going to reject the idea of you going somewhere? Is it a fear of being rejected once you're there? All of these things, like life is constant rejection, right? Because we feel like we know someone or we know how something is supposed to happen or we have a certain point of view on something. We're constantly measuring each other against that. And why are we measuring each other against that? Because this is how we make sense of the world, good or bad, right or wrong. It's quickly discerning and telling us whether something is safe or not. But the reality is, the truth is in the middle of those two worlds. I just want to encourage you, if you do want to like create some change in your life, like tap into that soft girl era. Get to know yourself. Connect with your intuition and then explore your tendencies where you reject yourself for trying to be different, for trying to do new things, for trying to go after something that maybe feels odd to the people that surround you. The more you get okay and at ease with standing up for yourself, standing up for your needs, standing up for your desires, not feeling like you have to impress people, less hustle, like take the tempo out and see what that feels like and let the waves carry you. Like, what's going to happen? Do you really think that just because you're working all the time, that that's the only reason you're attaining your goals? I hate to break it to you, but like COVID, if you haven't been like wearing blinds the last few years, COVID kind of showed us that we don't really have control over our lives. So there's a certain level of input that you can feed into situations. Like, for sure, you definitely can't be sitting on a couch meditating about certain goals in life and then expect certain things to come if you're not actively putting yourself out there, right? But at the same time, how are you working with yourself? Are you hustling and doing it from a place of personal empowerment? And by personal empowerment, I mean, I have courage, I can do this, I love myself, I'm gonna fail at this probably the first few times, but I still got my back. Or are you going out there, going after your goals, and the whole voice is, oh my God, I have to do this. Oh my God, if I don't do this by then, it's going to be catastrophe. And you're constantly in a state of anxiety, constantly in a state of hurry and rush and impatience. And you're just beating yourself up because things are not happening fast enough. And in the process, you're also never happy with anyone else because they're not doing their job fast enough, good enough, smart enough. Like, I don't know what it is. If all of these things are happening to you and you feel stressed out by it, go into it. Slow down, step off the gas pedal, and look how you could be perhaps more smooth, more soft in your approach. And let life carry you sometimes. Like, explore that. My whole situation last year, I really had to slow down and go into what was happening. And the slowness allowed me to be really discerning of what I wanted and what I didn't. That slowness also carved out time for me to start to think about how I wanted to respond to situations better, so that I was selectively responding to situations that mattered more than others. Like, other things I was just like, this is not worthy of my attention, I'm gonna let it go. This, however, this is worthy of 100% of my energy, and I'm gonna go 100% all in. Because it used to be I was like scattered, like 100% everything. But that's just not possible. And if you're giving 100% to your work or 100% to your relationship or whatever that situation is that you choose, then you have to be able to forgive yourself as you're not showing up 100% in other places in your life. Like at work, not every meeting deserves 150%, period. And if you're like me and you feel like that is the expectation, then it's going to take a lot of self-forgiveness, self-love to be able to let those other things go. And that's the softness that I'm talking about. That's that releasing the hustle culture. Is like being very discerning about when it's time to be on and when it's time to be just the backseat passenger. And it's okay. That doesn't make you less of a person. But all of these things, getting to know yourself, getting to know your triggers, getting to know when the triggers are really driving you, and when you're acting from a place of those triggers, of your fears, of your past experiences, being able to like switch the energy is really going to allow you to do the bigger things in life, like move to LA, like move to a new city, like start that creative project, like whatever it is. The more you're at peace with yourself during those situations, the better it is it's going to become. And as to the Airbnb, as a nice little closing, I left the Airbnb early, even though that was just like totally against my Swissness of doing things the right way, my perfectionism. Like, no, we booked it from here to here and the company is paying for it, so therefore we're going to do this thing. No, I did the thing that was uncomfortable. I was like, I'm sorry, I know you guys are paying for this Airbnb, but this Airbnb is a piece of shit. I need to move into a new one. And there's no way that I'm gonna be able to stay here. I need access to a kitchen, I need access to the facilities, and I need people to not be screaming at me. Anyway, it was a nightmare, but I did the uncomfortable thing and I changed it. And the uncomfortable thing was to reach out to my employer and be like, you guys need to pay for a new Airbnb because this is really not great. And they did. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time.